Hello, students, and anyone else who may be watching from home. This is Mr. Borges, also known as Zanzolo, and today we're going to be talking about our next assignment and project in Scratch. So here we are in Canvas. As you can see, we have a brand new button down here for messages. And when we click on that, it brings us to our brand new assignment. This crazy cartoon character pushing buttons like crazy. So our next project is about how sprites can communicate with each other, right, using messages. So our project's going to use buttons so that we can control more than one thing at the same time. So here's the checklist of all the things you need to have in your project. Here's the video you're watching right now, although, it's going to be updated. I'm recording this one currently. And then here's an example project that you can check out and see exactly how it works. So your project is going to need the following things: 2 or more sprites. You can see I'm using Scratch Cat and the crab here. And a backdrop. Of course, you need a backdrop. You're going to have then at least, it's up to you, but at least 4 more sprites for your buttons. Here's my buttons right here. And then when each button is clicked, a message will be broadcast. That's the part I'm going to be teaching you how to do. And that is an event. You can use an event block so that event will then trigger other costumes for different sprites and to change the backdrop and stuff like that. Okay, so then your buttons should also have their own costumes that they change when they're clicked. We'll talk about that too. So then you're going to need a better title than untitled because you always need that, and some instructions because you always need that, and to turn it into Canvas because you always need that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to click the Scratch link here. It's going to bring us into Scratch. And then we're going to create a new project. Scratch has been a little bit slow this morning. There we go. Okay, so we're going to create a new project. And here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and use Scratch Cat because they're right there. I'm going to get somebody to hang out with Scratch Cat. I'm just going to pick Abby because she's right there also. And I don't know why sometimes Abby gets rotated. Okay, so then I'm going to go to Abby's costumes. I'm going to just have her flip horizontal so she looks like she's hanging out and talking with Scratch Cat. Then we're going to need some kind of a backdrop also, so go ahead and pick it. It's not essential. This is our starting backdrop. So, right, they're going to be, maybe they're starting at one of their houses or something. I don't know. Okay. All right. So there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get some buttons for ourselves, and we're going to start making buttons. Those are going to be sprites too. Now, your buttons do not have to look like buttons. Yeah, Scratch has these things that they call buttons, and you can use these as your buttons. And if you use them, they have more than one costume. Actually, I'm not sure this one does, but these ones have more than one costume built in already. I'm going to pick this as one of our costumes, one of our buttons. Okay, so I'm going to put it where I want it to go. Move Scratch Cat a little bit out of the way. And then we're going to write some instructions for the button. The button, if we go to costumes, the button already has more than one costume. So what we can do is we can write an instruction for the button that says when this sprite is clicked, what we want to do is we want to change the way it looks. We want it to switch to its next costume for just a brief moment, right? Not very long at all. We can try just maybe a 1/10 of a second, and then we can have it also then switch back. Okay, so then we can test it out, and you can see now when you click on the button, right, it turns blue, right? Changes the way it looks for just a second. That's giving some feedback to the user, right? That way they know. A lot of times real life buttons, they're built in such a way that when you push them, they kind of make a little click or they have a feel. So the user kind of knows that they clicked the button. Then with all these iPhones and touchscreens and stuff, when they put buttons on the screen, a lot of times they have it play a little sound or make it do a little tiny vibrate or something. So the user knows, oh yeah, that I pushed the button. So that's what that is. Now we're going to duplicate this button. I'm just going to use the same button for more than one thing, but you can change you don't have to use a button. You could use a taco as long as you label what the button is. So I haven't labeled my button yet. So what is this button? Now, I'm just going to do mine colors. You don't have to do colors. So for this one, it's going to be blue. It's going to turn everything blue. So I'm going to make this label just big as I can make it there so everybody can easily read it. Okay, I'm going to have it selected now. The text selected. I'm going to push copy over here. Copy, go back to the other button, and then I'm going to do a paste. There we go. Because I want it to still say blue even when it is changed to its clicked costume. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to have it do something else. When the sprite is clicked, not just change your costume, I want to also send a message to other sprites. I want it to make ScratchCat do something. ScratchCat's going to have some code to tell it to change its costume. But the button can't write code for ScratchCat. The button sprite can't write code for Abby, can't write code for other things. But what we can do, just like you can send a text message or something to your friends, we can have the button broadcast a message. And then everybody else is like a group text. And everybody else can do something when they get the group text. That's the big idea. So we're going to broadcast a message, and I'm going to change the message. I'm just going to call the message blue. I'm not going to make up something weird and then forget what it is later. Right? This is when you click the button blue, we're going to send the message blue. And I'm just going to add that in there. So when the sprite is clicked, we're going to broadcast the message blue when we also change the way the costume looks for just a second. And that's it. That's actually all the code for the button. Then what we do is we go back to ScratchCat. We're going to tell ScratchCat, okay, ScratchCat, when you receive the message blue, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this better. When I receive the message blue, I want you to do something. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have ScratchCat turn blue. I'm going to get rid of this extra costume. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this starting costume that I have, and I'm going to rename it so I don't lose track of what it is. This is the starting costume, and then I'm going to make this costume the blue costume. Blue. And so I'm just going to get my paint bucket. I'm just going to turn the ScratchCat to some color blue. That looks pretty blue to me. There we go. Okay, so that is ScratchCat blue. Right, so I need some instructions though. When I receive blue, what do I want ScratchCat to do? Under looks, I want to switch costumes to blue. Okay. But then there's going to be blue forever. I need to also have them reset. So that's another event block. When the green flag is clicked, I want ScratchCat to switch to their starting costume. Switch costumes to start. So when the green flag is clicked, switch to the start costume. When you receive the message blue, switch to the blue costume. So I click the green flag, reset ScratchCat, and then when I click blue, the button sprite sends a message. ScratchCat receives the message and then does its thing. Okay. Now what I can also do is I'm going to have Abby also do something. So when Abby receives blue, Abby's going to turn blue. All right, let's zoom in a little bit here. So we can go to costumes, and let's just I don't want Abby to look like a Smurf or anything, so I'm just going to change her shirt to be blue. Okay, or maybe you can change her shoes to be blue. Change her outfit to be blue. Okay, then we read code for that. So when I receive blue, what is Abby supposed to do? She's going to, right? So I made a costume for Abby that was blue, but you see I lost my original costume. Oopsie. And that's kind of let me undo that. So there we go. So let's change this costume to be start, because we're going to need that one later. And then let's duplicate this. And then this one we're going to rename to be blue. And this is the one that we're going to change her outfit to be blue. Blue, blue, blue. Okay. So, I think I accidentally clicked on the lines that were outlining her shoes, and I didn't want to do that. There we go. There we go. Okay. So for Abby, then, when I receive blue, she's also going to go to looks and switch her costume to blue. Switch costume blue. But then she's also going to be blue forever, and I don't want that, so I need to reset her also. When the green flag is clicked, I have to set her up the way I want her to be. Switch costume to the starting one. So there she goes. Switch costume to the start, and then when I click blue, it changes both of their costumes to blue. And that's the big idea. That's the thing that buttons can do with us with messages. We can control multiple sprites and the backdrop all at the same time right, with these messages. It's like sending a group text to all your friends, and then they all know what to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the backdrop also. So I'm going to get a blue backdrop to use for blue. So I'm going to pick one of these. This one looks super blue. And so we're going to rename this backdrop to, right, neon tunnel. I'm going to rename that to be blue. I'm going to trash can that starting backdrop. I'm going to rename this bedroom one to be start because that's the one I want to start with. And then just like we've been doing, I'm going to write code for this, right? So when I receive blue, we're going to go to looks and switch the backdrop, switch backdrop to blue. But then, right, that works great, but then it's going to be blue forever. So unless we reset the backdrop. So when the green flag is clicked, we also then want to switch backdrop to the one we want to start out with. Start with the one we want to start. So then we can reset and then switch everything blue. All right, and that's the big idea. Right? That's basically the end of the video. Get yourself a better title than untitled. Write some instructions. This project doesn't need very much instructions, but it does need a little bit. Right? This is going to need some instructions. Whoa, that's typing there. Right? And then, so you don't have to write a whole essay, but just say, hey, click the buttons and see what happens. Click the buttons. Right? Try stuff. Whatever, right? You don't need to write a whole essay, but write some instructions in there. I do not want you to leave that blank. Okay? Then you're going to click share your project, and then turn it into Canvas. Oh, I lost my title there. I don't know what happened. Okay, but you're not done, right? What we've done is we've done a quarter of the project here. So now what's left to do, click back to see inside, I'm going to create additional buttons. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click on this button and duplicate it. There we go. I'm going to move it to where I want it to go. I'm going to go to my new button, right, which is called button 2 right now. I'm actually going to rename these buttons. I'm going to rename this blue button. I'm just going to call it blue button. So I'm going to lose track of what that one is later. And then here's my next button. I'm just going to call this one. You can kind of guess where I'm going with this. This is going to be the red button. Button. There we go. And I'm going to change the text here. So I'm going to grab my text tool. So I went to my button, red button, went to the costumes, picked my costumes, got the text tool so that I can then change the text here. And this is going to be the red button. Now, right, I'm going to do that for both costumes. Red. There we go. So it's pretty good. We want to start out this way. All right. So if you want to center that text, you can absolutely do that. If you want to make it larger, smaller, change the color of the text on your button, you can absolutely do all those kinds of things. Right. So code for this button is similar code, but it's different. I don't want to send the message blue when I click the red button. We're going to send a new message. I'm going to call it red. So now when I click the button red, we're broadcasting. So my button is backwards now. It's because of the way that I did that, of just always switching to the next costume. That's probably not the right answer. But if you want it to start out a certain way, just pick the button that you want. Pick the costume you want it to start out with. And then, right, it'll work more the way that you thought. Okay, so I'm sending the message red now when I click the red button. But these sprites, they don't know what to do when they receive red. I didn't give them any instructions for that. So we're going to give them some instructions. Right? And so what I want them to do, I want Scratchcat to turn red. Well, Scratchcat's going to need a red costume for that. Let's duplicate the blue costume and rename it red. Red. And we're going to change this one to red. I'm going to get the color red. Going to make Scratchcat red. There we go. And then I'm going to write some instructions for Scratchcat. Really, I just want to copy this and change it. Instead of blue stuff, it's all red stuff. So duplicate. So when I receive blue, switch costume to blue. Yeah, right. But also then when I receive red, switch costume to red. Now, the only reason I could do that here is because I had already created the message red and I had already created the costume red, or else those choices wouldn't have showed up there. So it's a little bit of point of confusion for some people sometimes. Okay, so just like for Abby, I want to show you. I can't just duplicate this right now and pick. There is no red costume for Abby. I haven't created it yet, right? So we need to do that first. So I'm going to duplicate blue. I'm going to rename that to be red so I don't get mixed up about what's later on, which is which. I'm going to change Abby's outfit. There we go. This is her red outfit. And then we go to code. Now, when I duplicate this, I have the choices here to make when I receive red, switch costume to red. And the reset's already there. I don't need a extra resets or anything. When you click the green flag, she already switches to start. So we can try that. Click blue, everything switches blue. Click red, we've got Scratch Cat and Abby red, but no red background yet. So let's do that. I'm gonna go to backdrop. Gonna pick some red background, like, I don't know, this looks a good red for me. And so we're going to write instructions for the backdrop. Same as this. So, right, I'm gonna rename wall to be my red backdrop. And then that way, when I go back to here, I can duplicate this. And then I can say when I receive red, the backdrop's gonna switch backdrop to red. There we go. I can reset everything, switch everything to be blue mode, switch everything to be red mode, and that's the big idea. So then what I would do is I would do at least two more buttons. You can do as many buttons as you want, but I want to see at least 4 buttons. Right? So it means you're going to have 4 different messages, and it's the same idea though, right? So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to duplicate my button, move it to where I want over here. And then what I'm going to do for this one, and just to sort of help folks get a certain idea, right? What I like to do, and if you already know what you're doing at this point, then go do your stuff. You don't have to watch the end of the video. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But, right, what I'm doing for this one now is just to show you that that costume doesn't have to just be changing the color. Scratch Cat doesn't have to stay Scratch Cat all the time. Right now I'm going to go to Scratch Cat, and I have a new button that's called fruit. So, right, when I receive, so the code for the fruit button is not going to broadcast the message red. It's going to broadcast the message fruit. Okay, and so now I'm broadcasting the message fruit, but nobody knows what to do yet. I have to write code for that. So for Scratch Cat's going to need a fruit costume. I'm going to duplicate Scratch Cat. I'm going to rename this costume. Wait, let's not duplicate Scratch Cat. Let's pick a new costume. Let's pick a fruit costume. There we go. All right. I'm going to rename this one fruit so I don't get mixed up later about what I'm doing. And then now we can duplicate this and say when I receive fruit, switch costume to fruit. Right, so I can reset everything, but now when I click fruit, Scratch Cat's going to turn into fruit. Right? It's going to be the same for Abby. I'm going to make a new costume for Abby. I'm going to pick that. Where's that silly fruit salad costume? Fruit salad. There we go. I'm going to rename this fruit so I don't lose track of what I'm doing later. And then I want to write some code for Abby. I can just duplicate this and say when I receive fruit, switch costume to fruit. So I can reset everything. And when I click fruit, Scratch Cat and Abby both turn into fruit. All right, and I'm going to pick a fruit background for that also. And I don't know what the right fruit background is. I mean, whatever. It's not important. So, right, if this is going to be my fruit background or whatever, you go pick your own picture off the internet or something that's your perfect fruit background. I'm just going to rename this fruit so I can keep track of all my fruit stuff. Then I can go to code and say when I receive code for the backdrop, when I receive fruit, switch backdrop to fruit. That way I can click the green flag. I can set everything to blue. I can set everything to be red. I can set everything to be my fruit mode, which is just for fun. It's just silly. And then you would do one more. I'm not gonna do the one more button right now because this video is already getting kind of long. You would do one more button, and then you would have 4. Right? And you test them all out and make sure that they're all working the way that you think, and make sure your reset's working, make sure you have a better title than untitled, make sure you have instructions. Then you would share your project and then copy this address over here, go back to Canvas, and then you would click the submit assignment button, churn in your URL, and then click submit assignment one more time. And that's how you churn in your assignment. So I'm going to replace this example with the one that we just made in class. And that's it for this one. So thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.